This is something I've wanted to do for a while. We're going to lift the lid on one of our strangest, most fascinating, and probably least understood members of the community. I am, of course, talking about the legendary House of Cantor. There won't be a visualization this week in the traditional sense, but plenty of pictures, so hopefully you'll stay to the end. It's worth noting that nobody truly understands HoC, as he's affectionately known on the forum. That's actually part of his magic. You always feel like you've got about 60% of the information, and the other 40% is entirely dependent on your viewpoint. I'm going to look at 4 themes that make HoC special for me. Why 4, you may ask? Well, 4 is a very important number for HoC, as we'll soon discover. The 4 themes are Gwynny's George Cantor, Ellen January, and the number 4. We'll start with the easy one. I say easy, perhaps less difficult is a better explanation. Gwynny's. Gwynny's is the affectionate term HoC uses for the actress Gwyneth Paltrow. On May the 15th in the year 2000, HoC ceased to be whoever he was and became 100% devoted to Gwyneth Paltrow. Not in a scary, stalkerish way, but he believes that he is a prophet of sorts. The extent of Gwyneth's abilities is unclear, but she certainly has supernatural powers. HoC is unsure of exactly who he was prior to May the 15th, only that after May the 15th, Gwyneth began creating the context of his being, both his past and future. Despite these powers, HoC still identifies Gwyneth as human, and therefore himself as an atheist. One of the most profound and thought-provoking sentences he's written, in my opinion, is that atheism is not about God. Atheism is about humanity. Try to get some before it is too late. It was this incredibly simple but incredibly profound statement that first made me take House of Cantor very seriously. So often atheists invest their time attempting to disprove God, engaging in often fruitless battles with people who simply believe other things. The greatest focus of everyone, regardless of their religious beliefs, should be humanity, ensuring that this brief flicker of time that we enjoy in this universe is as wonderful as possible. Atheism is about humanity. The wonderful thing about HoC's Gwynny's concept is that it cannot be disproved. Gwyneth Paltrow is alive and talented and beautiful and well known. Her supernatural identity-building powers are hidden from all of us except HoC. No theist can dare attack HoC's beliefs, because to do so simply exposes the holes in their own arguments. Gwyneth is HoC's muse, his inspiration, and a kind of simplicity in his otherwise incredibly complicated and abstract view of the world. As I said at the beginning, this is only my interpretation of the enigma that is House of Cantor. I could be splendidly, spectacularly wrong. Let's look at point 2, George Cantor. For the non-maths geeks amongst you, George Cantor was a German mathematician and philosopher who was around from 1845 to 1918. He's responsible for 2 really important things in maths, namely our modern understanding of set theory and our understanding of infinity. Because he pondered the infinite, and more importantly the transfinite, he came into heavy criticism from both the maths establishment of the time and also the church, who weren't keen on anything other than God being infinite. The urban legend is that George Cantor drove himself insane trying to understand infinity. He certainly spent several years in various asylums, or sanatoria as they were known, but I think a much more likely modern diagnosis was that this continual rejection of theories he deeply believed in, both by his peers and religious folks that know about as much math as I do, sent him into a spiral of depression. A quick bit on set theory. Cantor showed that it's a really cool idea to group stuff like this. X consists of 1, 2, 3, and onwards to like forever. And this was a great way of categorizing sets of numbers. This example is called a set of natural numbers because they're normal, countable numbers that you'd use every day. Cantor got even more creative and made sets of real numbers. So in this case, r equals 1, 2, pi, the square root of 2, whatever you like, anything that could be counted could be put in this set, and this set could be bigger than a set of natural numbers. You're probably thinking that this has no bearing on your life as a human being in the 21st century, but you'd be very wrong. Without set theory and a better understanding of infinity, You wouldn't be able to watch this video on any kind of computer because they wouldn't exist. Anyone who uses a computer at work would cease to have a job. There would be no Apple or Microsoft, Google or Facebook or Amazon. The medical programs that keep us alive when sick, that build our cars, that keep us connected in an ever-shrinking, ever more real-time world simply would not be there. HoC's choice of Cantor as an avatar is probably the least mysterious of the four themes I've chosen. The real George Cantor was a highly intelligent, deeply misunderstood and very enigmatic figure on the mass stage. He was also vulnerable, sensitive and deeply philosophical. In fact, his legacy leaves us with as many questions as answers. He had some very interesting views on zero and whether it should feature in certain sets. There's an excellent article on Wikipedia if you're interested in researching this fascinating guy further. Okay, Ellen January. This is by far the hardest one. HoC often says his real name is Ellen. We know it's not, it's John, although I think he's officially changed his name to John Ellen January Cantor, which is odd, but just a drop of oddness in the galaxy of odd that is HoC. Why Ellen? Why January? The only link I can find is that January is the month that George Cantor died in 1918. Ellen is a girl's name. Even in America, where they arbitrarily call boys girls' names and girls boys' names, there is no real tradition of calling men Ellen, to the best of my knowledge. Ellen is Greek for sunray or lightness, but neither of these themes are prominent in HoC's prose. January is the first month of the year, and whilst HoC loves the number 1 as much as the next mathematician, he's far more interested in the number 4, which I'll come on to in a minute. Maybe he just likes the names Ellen January. Maybe Ellen was some high school sweetheart. Maybe it's an anagram that makes him happy. Maybe we'll never know. Finally, the number 4. HoC mentions this a lot. There's some simple reasons and some deeply complex ones. Firstly, I love Gwyneth Paltrow. 4 words. HoC has concluded that 4 therefore must have some special significance, and all other numbers must somehow be less significant. Hostile, sometimes. Gwyneth Paltrow has 4 syllables, and love, L-O-V-E, has 4 letters. If you accept this as sensible, you're starting to get into the HoC mindset, and you have to agree there is a rather pleasing symmetry to the whole thing. But this is merely scratching the surface. We need to start thinking in dimensions, or thinking like HoC. So here's HoC's model of reality, or one of them at least. Here's unity, inside and outside. But that's only 3. 3 isn't a good number in Cantor land. 3 is the syllables of Lucifer, and it's also the elements of the Trinity. 3 is bad. We need to look deeper. There is a 4th point, or what HoC calls point 0. This 4th point is everything. Structure, identity, you, what makes you you, everything. Now, when we add that 4th point to our model, we have a tetrahedron, a 4-sided shape. A model by which 3 faces are visible, but there is always a 4th unseen. You can twist and turn this shape however you like, but you always have to accept there is a dimension that you cannot see. The shape is not limited. You are. Your consciousness is. It puts me in mind of studies of 4-dimensional space. Interestingly, this branch of maths also uses vectors, and therefore wouldn't be possible without a certain Mr. George Cantor. Look at the shape on your screen and see if you can work it out. Essentially, it exists in more dimensions than we are used to seeing. It's very cool, and provokes some interesting thoughts about the limitations of how we see the world. So there you have it. My voyage into the realm of HoC. You're in the presence of someone very special, who will challenge the way you perceive the world if you let him. We've looked at just 4 themes of a very multifaceted individual. He's worth joining the forum even if you have no interest in the whole atheism-theism debate. Probably the most powerful thing isn't what he says, but how he says it. The normal visualization will resume next week, but in the meantime, here's some classic HoC quotes with didgeridoo accompaniment. Cheers.